Hey, it's Brian, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to go from this to this. And with everything going on right now, it might be a little bit difficult to get out to the barber. So today I'm going to teach you how to 1, save money, and 2, learn a valuable, great new skill. Now, so I'm going to be teaching you how to graduate your hair from a 0 to give you that fresh, stylish cut. But this is also going to be an in regulations military haircut, regardless of which branch you're in. I've been cutting my own hair for about 12 years now, and I've kind of dialed in exactly what works for me. So I'm super excited to teach you what I've learned over the years and pass that on to you. So before we get into the tutorial, I'm going to be going over the 8 items that I personally use for cutting my own hair. I use basic wall clippers, and you can get these at any store like Walmart or Target. You may want to invest in some 00 clippers. These really help get close and will keep your haircut lasting that much longer. This is an all-in-one cleaner and coolant. It's great to cool down your clippers while you're using them, but it's also great to keep them clean to increase the lifespan of your clippers. Professional scissors made specifically for cutting hair are a game changer. The included brush from most clipper kits is great to brush off loose hairs to help bring out the hard lines when you're trying to blend. A handheld mirror is great to use to see the back of your head. Another optional item is to use a blow dryer. And finally, what you'll want is just a standard comb. Oftentimes these come with a clipper set, and they're a great tool to use when you're using the scissor over comb method for cutting the top of your head. Alright, now before getting into the tutorial, here's a quick rundown on some of the terms I'll be using throughout. So clippers open versus clippers closed. Open, closed. Now each guard is going to have a number on it, and each number is going to be directly associated with the length. So the longer the guard, the higher the number is going to be. The lower the number, the closer. So you got a 5 here, and this is a 1. It's already rubbed off, but you can see it right here, number 1 length. So you'll see that that's obviously going to be a shorter, closer cut. All right, now let's get into the haircut. So to start the haircut, what I will do is I will take my clippers without a guard and keep the blades closed. This is just going to be an initial lineup here. What you'll notice is I'm not bringing it up very high, and the reason for that is because when I blend this later, when I start fading in that line, it's going to take off a lot more bulk, and so I do this to avoid making the haircut too short. Okay, next I will take the 1 guard and I will open my blades to essentially make it like a 1.5, and then now I use this to start chipping away at bulk and bring up the line up a little bit higher. Okay, now I swap out for the actual 1.5 guard, and I will close the blades, and I'll bring up the line just a little bit higher. Okay, so now I switch to the 2 guard. This is the point where your head starts to round over to the top, so it's very important here to use the motion where you pull it away from your hair. So don't go straight up, just start kind of like flicking away from your head. Okay, and lastly, you'll see I switched to the 3 guard here. This is what I use to finish up my initial bulk chipping away phase. Again, using the same method where I pull away from my head and not curving up, because this is as the head rounds off to the top. Okay, now I'm going to start getting into the finer details of the haircut. You notice I had all those hard lines from earlier. This phase, I'm going to be constantly adjusting the blade length open and closed. And then this guard here is the 0.5 guard to start, and I'll just barely touch it with a flicking away motion to kind of start blending in that hard line. You'll see me continuously putting the clippers up to the camera. That's me showing you I'm incrementally opening the clipper blades. This blending phase is a very finesse process and takes kind of some trial and error. So you want to incrementally open the blade to slowly bring up that line. Otherwise, you're just going to be creating more hard lines. So using this technique with flicking away and incrementally opening the blades will give you a more desired result. You'll see I swapped out the 0.5 for the 1 and then now the 1.5 guard. Again, I'm using the same techniques as I was here with incrementally opening the blade to blend those hard lines. And now it's just going to be rinse and repeat on the other side. A lot of people always ask how I cut my hair on the back, and honestly I just use this handheld mirror. You hold the mirror up to your face and then you can look at the vanity mirror behind you. You can see the lines pretty well, and then you just use the same techniques I talked about using the flick away method as we were doing on the sides. As you get further into the haircut, you're going to notice you're going to have to go back over the same spots you did before. You'll see here I'm using the 3 and then up to the 4. And what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of blending that rounding spot as the head rounds up to the top to the longer hair. And this is a continuous process all throughout. So you'll see that I notice that there's still kind of a hard line. So what I'll do is I'll just take the guard that I think is appropriate for that hair spot, and I'm just going to go over it one more time to kind of soften that hard line up just a little bit more. And then here you'll notice that I am now using those 00 clippers that I talked about. This is going to give kind of a skin fade. So this is what I was saying, these are optional. This is going to get it just a little bit closer to make your haircut last a little bit longer. But this is where I'll use the brush. So as you're cutting hair, you're going to get loose hairs all over down towards the bottom of your head, and those loose hairs can kind of distort the lines that you're creating. So what you want is kind of to work from a clean slate. So I'll use the brush here to wipe off, and then I'll go in close with these clippers here. And since I took it a little bit closer with these 00s, I'm going to have to go back with my regular clippers here, because I created another line, and then again using the same blending techniques where I start closed and then gradually open the clipper blade to blend in the line that I just created. Scissor time. So I use the scissors here to kind of blend from the clipper part to the top of the head, where I will be using eventually the scissor over comb method. So to get that transition, I freehand it with my scissors. You'll notice the technique here. I will push the scissors in, and then as I'm closing them, I'm pulling the scissors away from my head. So I ultimately am only cutting a few hairs at a time, and that's going to get that good kind of blend with the buzzed from the sides to the scissor cut on the top. So it gets it kind of texturized, and it blends it that much better. Time for the top. So first what I'll do is wet down my hair and then comb it through so I get it completely wet. Now I'm not going to cut the top of my hair every single time. I usually do this maybe about once a month, but this is about the time, so I'm going to do it for the video here. And you'll see as I comb it all the way through, and then what I'll do is I'll slick it back. So you want to pull it all the way back to the back and then kind of pinch it, and then you can take the scissors and come across it. One thing to know, if you're doing a comb over like me, you're gonna want hair longer from the part, and it's gonna shorten as you bring it over to the comb over side. So to make that part, you're gonna have to have the hairs longer on this side. So you'll see on the right side of my head, my hairs are longer, and then I gradually shorten them as they go over to the left. And you can do that easily with this scissor over comb method here like this. All right, and then finally I'm gonna blow dry my hair out, get it all completely dry, and then go ahead and put some product in it. What you wanna do is actually style it how you're going to style it, and then make sure to take a look to see if you actually missed any spots. So you might see that you might have some long hair sticking out that you might wanna trim up, and then do a quick look around with the mirrors to see if there are any more hard lines from the buzzing that you did earlier as well. And then finally, what you want to do is clean your clippers. Make sure they're running, and then go ahead and just give them a quick spray down. Okay, so that's how to cut your own hair at home, all by yourself. If you found this video helpful, let me know by dropping a like. Also, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell, and you'll be the first to know when I post new content. Also, if you'd like to learn how to cut your own hair, maybe as like a flat top, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll consider posting a video on how to do that. So, until then, see ya.